Trustees, check. 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 Test. Okay. Can start. Trustees attending remotely, I would like to verify your presence. We have Trustee Hannah. Are you online?
Hello, yes, I am.
Please turn your camera on when you vote and keep your microphone muted and your camera off when you're not speaking. Okay. Call to order. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the regular board meeting of the Halton Catholic District School Board on Tuesday, April 21st, 2026. Please note that this meeting is being live streamed and will also be posted on the board's YouTube channel. The trustees, in order to be recognized, please use the hand up feature in Teams to be automatically placed in queue. We move on to item 1.1, land acknowledgement, the opening prayer, our Father, and the national anthem. I now ask Trustee Hannah to please lead us with the land acknowledgement, the opening prayer. Hannah?
Halton, as we know it today,
is rich in the history and modern traditions
of many First Nations in the Métis,
from the lands of the Anishinaabe
to the Attawandaron,
the Haudenosaunee,
and the Métis.
These lands surrounding the Great Lake
are steeped in Indigenous history.
As we gather today on these treaty lands,
our Catholic social teachings
call us in solidarity
with our Indigenous brothers and sisters
to honor and respect
the four directions,
lands, waters, plants,
animals, and ancestors
that walked before us.
All these wonderful elements of creation exist,
gifted to us by our Creator God.
We acknowledge and thank
the Mississaugas of the Credit First Nation
for being stewards of this traditional territory.
Thank you, Trustee Hannah.
Yes, in the name of the Father, the Son, the Holy Spirit, one God. Amen. Lord, too often we speak our thoughts at this table without taking into account the perspectives of those around us. During these times, we ask you to help us remember this. As trustees, it is our job to make the voices of our constituents heard. But just as much, it is our job to listen, both to our constituents and to the trustees around us. As said in the Gospel of James, chapter 1, verse 19, my dear brothers and sisters, take note of this. Everyone should be quick to listen, slow to speak, and slow to become angry. We shall now enter into the Our Father. Father, Son, Holy Spirit. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be your name. Your kingdom come, your will be done, earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. Amen.
Thank you, Trustee Hannah. Item 1.2, motions arising from in-camera. There were no motions from the in-camera session that will now require a vote in the public session. Our next order of business is item number 2, approval of the agenda. Do we have any additions or deletions in the agenda? And do trustees want any item to be removed from the consent agenda? Seeing none, may I have a motion to approve the agenda? Looking for a mover, please.
I'll move it.
Trustee Carabella moves, Vice Chair O'Hearn, Janora seconds. I'll take this to a recorded vote. Trustee Agnew, how do you vote?
In favor.
Vice Chair O'Hearn, Janora?
In favor.
Trustee Kelly?
In favor.
Trustee Saunders? Yeah. Trustee Murphy?
In favor.
Trustee Hannah?
In favor.
Trustee Carabella?
In favor.
Trustee Kennedy?
In favor.
We have 7 in favor, none opposed, no abstention. Motion carries. The agenda is approved. We shall now move on to declarations of conflict of interest. Are there any conflicts of interest to be declared tonight? Seeing none, we shall move on to our next order of business, which is item number 4, presentations. 4.1, senior staff updates, student success programming. Superintendent Del Soto will present his project plan. You have the honor of introducing this presentation.
Thank you, Chair, and it is quite an honor. I would gladly admit. The Superintendent Del Soto has worked very diligently to lead his team and to help move us further down the pathway of understanding what the opportunities are for all of our students, regardless of their backgrounds, regardless of their skills, regardless of their levels of success in academics, et cetera. And because of that, really he's someone who's led a team that has helped, as the presentation is entitled, Break Down Barriers. So he's allowed for freedom for students to become who they are and to become good citizens, and in our system to be fully formed as Catholics. So I'll turn it over to him to give you an update of where we are, and I'm sure he'll be able to entertain some questions afterwards. So take it away.
Go ahead.
Thank you, and through you, Chair. Thank you, Director Klein, for those lovely words. The student success update really comes to you as a team approach, and I'd really like to acknowledge the team of consultant John Dietrich, who is the experiential learning consultant, consultant Mark Ives, who's our SHISM consultant, consultant Allison Little-Villeneuve, who is our co-op and our OEF recruiter, and our student success itinerant and dual credits teacher, Chris Hall, and of course, our admin assistant, Linda Bond, who really keeps us all together and well organized. And this update really is just a big idea. So you're really getting a high view of some of the programming successes we have. And I'm going to ask Rosie if we can go to the next slide. And thank you to Superintendent Kroll and the curriculum team, where they really shared with us a number of different apps for students to use. So I thought it's great for us to model that. And so what we did was really just feed this program our information, and it created this video. And the video really is what we're going to be talking about very quickly, because the PowerPoint, again, thank you to Superintendent Kroll and his team for providing these tools to every student, is that it allowed us to create the PowerPoint and the infographic at the end. So I'm going to ask Rosie if she can play.
All right. Today, we're going to pull back the curtain and get an inside look at how the Halton Catholic District School Board is really preparing its students for the future. We're going to dig into their report on student success, skilled trades, and all the different pathways they're creating. Okay, let's jump right in. So let's just start with this big question, right? What does student success even mean anymore? Is it that old straight line to university? Or is it maybe something more? Well, as we're about to see, HCDSB is making it clear that real success is all about having a whole menu of opportunities, so every student can find a path that actually gets them excited. First up, and this is a big one, the skilled trades. It's so important to get this. This isn't some backup plan anymore. We're talking about a direct line to awesome in-demand careers. And the board is putting a huge focus on making this pathway not just accessible, but genuinely exciting for students. Just look at this number, over 300. This year alone, more than 300 students jumped into the Ontario Youth Apprenticeship Program, or OEAP. You know what that means? They're out there getting real, hands-on experience in a trade while they're still finishing high school. That is a massive head start on a career. And this isn't just some general thing. It's creating these really targeted success stories. Like in Milton, they have this specialized program that's placed 32 students directly on the electrical pathway. And get this, every single one of them is either in a co-op or already working as a paid apprentice. That's a 100% placement rate. Incredible. So here's the crucial part. We're not just talking about temporary work placements. 19 of these students have already signed their official registered training agreements. This is the real deal. It's the formal, recognized start of their apprenticeship. It's their career, starting right now. And the training goes even deeper. They're not just learning how to do the job, they're getting these critical sector-specific safety certifications that employers are desperate for. So these students can walk onto a job site day one, fully certified and ready to contribute safely. They are absolutely job ready. Of course, a pathway is only truly successful if everyone feels like they belong on it. So let's shift gears and look at how the board is actively knocking down old barriers to make sure these opportunities are open to absolutely everyone. One amazing initiative is the Women as Career Coaches event. It's an evening that connects young women in grades 9 through 12 with these incredible mentors. We're talking everyone from Burlington's mayor to a fourth-year electrical apprentice, just showing them what's possible in fields where, women haven't always been represented. And then there's another fantastic event called Dreamer Day. This is this huge outing where students get to check out hands-on demos and interactive booths. It's all about empowering young women to see themselves in careers, not just in the trades, but in STEM, in emergency response, and even in entrepreneurship. And you know what the impact is? It's huge. Just between those two events we mentioned, over 530 young women from HCDSB got this incredible chance to picture themselves in these exciting careers. That's a powerful way to proactively build a more inclusive future. Now, let's be real. Not every student's journey is a straight line. HDSSB gets that, so they've developed these really flexible options to make sure every single student can kind of customize their high school experience and get to that finish line, graduation day. Okay, the dual credit program is a perfect example. To put it simply, it's a way for a high school student to take a college course and get credit for it from both the high school and the college at the same time. I mean, what an amazing way to get a taste of post-secondary life totally for free. And you might be wondering, does it work? Oh yeah, it works. For the dual credit courses that are actually taught right inside the high schools with a team of teachers, the student success rate is a staggering 98%. That just proves how effective this super supportive model is. And hey, for students who might be at risk or maybe just need a different learning style, the in-school alternative education program is a total lifeline. In just a single semester, it helped grant over 137 credits. That means students are getting to recover credits they might have missed or just earn them in a way that's much more personal and supportive. But here's what's really smart about this whole approach. It doesn't just start in grade 11. To really build a culture where students feel empowered to explore careers, you've got to plant those seeds way, way earlier. So let's see how HCDSB is getting its youngest students involved. Their annual Skilled Trades Career Fair is this massive event. We're talking over 2,000 people showing up. But what's really key is that it's for students all the way from grade 7 up to grade 12. And they make a point of bringing families into the conversation right from the very beginning. And this isn't just a one-off thing. It's so broad and creative. You've got hands-on learning days for over 1,500 middle schoolers. Then there's over 2,500 elementary students engaging with Indigenous education. There's even this super unique event with the Raptors 905 basketball team for 750 grade 5 kids. Add in hundreds more competing in skills competitions. You see the strategy, right? It's all about early exposure, sparking that curiosity, and making learning fun. So with all of this amazing stuff already in place, what's next? This last part of the report is all about how the board is continuing to innovate, getting students ready for a workforce that is, changing all the time. The Specialist High Skills Major Programs, or SHSMs, are already a huge success. Look at that, almost 1,200 students are enrolled. The best way to think about it is like choosing a major in high school. It lets you dive deep into a field you're passionate about, whether that's construction or healthcare, and you earn industry certifications along the way. You basically become a specialist before you even graduate. And they are not slowing down. After they noticed that a ton of their graduates go on to study business, the board put together a new committee. Their entire mission? To build a business pathway that flows seamlessly from grade 5 all the way through to graduation. It's just a perfect example of looking at the data and using it to build what students need next. So when you add it all up, from the skilled trades and these amazing inclusive events to flexible credits and starting career exploration super early, HDSP is building this incredibly powerful foundation for every single student. And it really just leaves you with one final exciting question to think about. With all these tools and all these opportunities, what incredible things is this next generation going to build for all of us?
Thank you, Rosie.
All right.
The PowerPoint.
All right. Today we're going to pull back.
Thank you, Rosie. The PowerPoint really is a summary. We'll go very quickly through it. This is really the ecosystem that we're trying to create, is that exposure for career choices and preparation for the future by kids really tapping into programming as well as tapping into hands-on learning in the experiential way and really discovering what their talents are. And it's really going into a specialization. Next slide, Rosie. What we're really also really thrilled is looking at our underserved students, particularly focusing on our women and women at all levels in the sectors that have been primarily dominated by men. This interconnected part of it is really where we have a group of young women going forward. And I'm proud to say that out of 23 students who have graduated out of Liuna's Loco 837, and they challenged to receive level 1 of their apprenticeship, we have the only female graduate who graduated with 98%. And so we're really thrilled that this young woman is going into the trades and has already challenged. So she only has 3 more levels to challenge before she can become a Red Seal individual to go forward into the trade. And that is, again, kudos to the team. Rosie? Again, for really looking at the ODAP progression, what we're seeing is 300 of our students are in the field. We had 19 of those students who have signed trading agreements. That's equivalent to getting into university or college. They are immediately starting into their apprenticeship hours. And you'll see that 3 of them have been accepted into the level 1. And we have 3 other students starting this month, challenging for level 1 as well. Next slide, Rosie. Thank you. And this is that targeted intervention where we do have a group of individuals really focusing and specializing in becoming electricians. And here you have the 32 of them have already been placed. And as you had heard, there was 100% for these students here. So the acceptance rate is, well, proof is in the data. If you go on, Rosie. Thank you. The in-school alt-ed program that we created really is looking at how do we become more flexible to really own our students so they have that sense of belonging, which is part of our multi-year strategic plan, and really look at how do we go about by really servicing our students while we're also being informed of where they're not successful. So the team created what we call a failure analysis form. So every teacher fills out a form for kids who were not successful in their credits, and they identify what were the strengths of that student, what were the next steps for that student, and which overall expectations did they not hit. Because then you can focus on what they did not hit. And that's what we can do through the alternative education program. And you have a team approach to it with the guidance counselor, the administration, and the alt-ed teacher. And we do pull out the alt-ed teacher once a year to really build capacity. And I'm proud to say that they are really flying and making it their own. So it's really responsive to every individual school. And you can see that just last semester, they really recovered 137.5 credits. And so we're pushing that target of graduation further so that this way the goal at 16 and 16 is hit and our kids don't drop out. Rosie, thank you. Again, you can see the dual credits. The way the seats work is that every college is given space from the Ministry of College and University to fund the seats. So depending on what their funding is, then they allocate seats to boards of education. I'm happy to say that Halton Catholic is increasing in their number of seats. So we're asking the college to give us more seats than they have. And you can see that all our seats are filled up. And this year, or this semester, we also had, for the first time, 2 seats offered to us in animal grooming, and both have been filled up. So that's something new. And we also have 6 seats for the summer session in carpentry, and all of those have already been filled up as well. So there is quite a demand and appetite in our students, and we're thrilled to be offering these opportunities and collaborating with the colleges. Next slide, Rosie. This was something that Superintendent Perusin and I discovered over the March break as we met with the dean at Sheridan College. And what we were looking at was really how do we go about by increasing our seats, and how do we go about by really looking at the students that need another opportunity from high school into the college level. And this is what becomes interesting. Both Sheridan and Mohawk College, with our 2 partners, offer a program where the kids can go in. So after they graduate, they can go into the skilled trades and become red sealed. So they actually get their signature pieces to go forward. After those 2 years, they can apply for a degree. So Sheridan offers an honors Bachelor of Engineering, both in mechanical and electrical. It's a 4-year program with co-op. And Mohawk offers an honors Bachelor of Technology with a focus on sustainability. As you can see with the Mohawk one, you graduate there, you can do a bridge program into the Queen's Civil Engineering program. So this actually means oftentimes kids might not be ready by the time they graduate, but they still have a spark and a passion. And the good thing is they get the hands-on first, so that when they design, as was shared with us, they actually design things that could actually work with the machines, as opposed to design something where they say works on paper but doesn't work when you try to build it. And so that's an exciting way for our guidance counselors to support our kids. Next slide, Rose. This is really just showing you all that we're trying to do from our elementary pathway. And so from the elementary pathway, you're seeing how many students we're hitting and targeting to really go forward and start to explore careers and looking at the preparation for the future success. Next slide, Rosie. Thank you. Again, this is looking at the SHISM program and the enrollment. We have 3 new applications going this year, which hopefully will bring us to the expansion of 55 SHISMs. The 3, we will find out if the ministry approves them by late May. We are very hopeful because the consultant who oversees this really works with the teachers who work to put this program together, because you always need a champion teacher in school, to make sure that the applications would be passed, so that we really spend a lot of time in doing the huge package in order for the ministry to fund it. Then on the other side, you're noticing that last year, around this time of the year, we had a PD for the whole staff, and we were looking at pathway plannings. So both elementary and secondary is, well, where do our students go after they leave our system? And so what we found was that most of our students that graduate apply to university for business. And so we said, okay, so how are we tapping into that passion so that we could really grow that? And so working with Dr. Matthew Aslett, who is a Loyola graduate and a graduate from Queen's University and a teacher at Kateri, we've worked together to start looking at the data and now working with elementary principals, secondary vice principals, consultants, and pathway itinerants to look at how do we tap into grade 5s and explore entrepreneurship and businesses, so that as they're going through elementary school, they're looking at different ways that they can build up that passion and then go into high school with that focus and continue on. Rosie? This is looking at that whole student success ecosystem from phase one. And in the past 5 years that we've been here, you can see the data is literally a staircase, which we're really thrilled about. It's about the experiential learning. It's about what the Raptors partnership does is really teach kids problem solving, collaboration, and organization, which we know are foundational. And then the skilled trades fair, if you haven't been, it is super successful because one of the things that we focused on as a goal and target was mindset. And how do we change the mindset of both the students and families where they see the skilled trades as their number one choice and not a default? And it was beautiful to sit behind or stand behind some of the counters when I was there and listening to parents and students talking about becoming an electrician as their first choice. And so we're really chipping away at that mindset that they have that dignity and all. And it goes to the phase two, which is really specializing in high school. So you have that pathway of specialization that then leads to their preferred future. And you can see it has the opportunity here also to do what Sheridan Mohawk offer, really the idea of going in, getting your certificate, your red seal, and then applying into either in the engineering program at Sheridan or the technology program at Mohawk College that can bridge into the Queen's program for civil engineering. Next slide, Rosie. Sorry. Yeah. And this is just another great tool that Superintendent Crow's department is. It's all of this information in an infographic in case you missed it. And now I'm open for questions.
Thank you, Superintendent Del Sordo. I shall now open up the floor to trustees. Please raise your hand. You may be in the queue. We have a speakers list up first. First up is Trustee Murphy. You have your hand up.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Through you to Superintendent Del Sordo. Your PowerPoint presentation was fantastic. It really was quite impressive. You're now my new mentor. I'll be sending you all my presentations in the future to review. Great program. So, you know, as a parent, we're all worried about AI for our children. This disruptive technology. Is our education system preparing them for the future? I read an interesting article. It basically said, you know, to essentially AI-proof, look for a trade that has emotional intelligence, complete complex judgment, and physical dexterity in an unpredictable environment, right? So if you think of trades, that's a perfect antidote to this disruptive technology. So right now we're at about 4%. Of students participating. If the growth is exponential in a short period of time, we really have to ramp up. Can we accommodate 30% of our students in these programs? What's your, more importantly, what's your vision of the need and the exponential growth in this segment?
Thank you, Chair. Through you, Chair. When I think about that, what I really think about is still what's untapped in our schools and how do we tap that first so that we can grow the programs. Once I think we get to that critical mass and it becomes that tipping point, that's where we'll start looking at maybe connecting with partners. So we can do credits, for example. I come from a system where we did a program called From the Ground Up because we had that critical mass and the demographics were very different, where students were working with a developer for all day long for 4 credits and they built a house. It was also perhaps the best house on the block because the inspectors were really at it. So the walls were probably the straightest of any other home. And then it rolled into an apprenticeship as well. So for me, it's really going from, let's really tap all the resources in the school first. And we still have some growth in that. And then say, okay, now how do we go into our community and work with our partners and make the outside classroom the classroom?
Thank you. Trustee Martin, follow up?
Follow up to that. This doesn't count as my second question, but let's follow up to that point. So do you envision it being supply driven or demand driven? Is it the quality of your programs are going to draw people into it, or are people going to start knocking on your door for those programs?
Thank you, through you, Chair. I'm hoping both.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm hoping both. I'm hoping the supply is there so that we really grow that quality program. And then I hope, like a good brand, we put it out in the community and then we're not tapped on often, so our kids get employment right away. So it really is building the brand by really tapping into those resources and building programs.
Okay. Can I ask my second question?
Yes.
Because that was 1.5 questions. Can you go through the funding? How are these programs funded? Is there more funding coming down the pipe? Is there opportunity? Is there some funding that maybe we could take advantage of if something else happened within our system?
Superintendent Delsoro.
Thank you, Chair, and through you, Chair. So our funding really comes in envelopes. And so the ministry gives me targets and goals with money that I can only use for those targets and goals. So it will give me a list of what I can do and a list of what I can't do. We take those goals and what we try to do is then create like this. One of the new things that we're thinking about is how do we create synergy amongst our departments so that this way here we could really use that funding while we hit those goals, but at the same time, really report back on that target that the ministry is giving to us. So the money is enveloped this way. So it comes directly to these programs. I don't think anything else is funded that way. Yeah.
Thank you.
Great, thank you. Excellent presentation.
Next is Trustee Saunders. You have your hand up.
Through you, Chair. I've attended your the OEF sessions every year at St. Francis Xavier, and they're very impressive, and they're getting better. So thank you very much. But my question is, how do we counsel, kids in grade 9? They may want to try a trade, maybe in grade 10 they decide they don't want to in grade 11. What do we do to make sure that there's still like a core path that allows them to change? Or if they do change, do they have to now go back to grade 9 and take courses? I'm just wondering, what do we do in those situations? I mean, maybe they change their mind, or maybe they're not really suited for whatever field. So what do we do just to make sure, the kids don't sort of box themselves in a corner?
Superintendent Delsoro.
Thank you. And through you, Chair. Yes, that is that's been education's history over time. Kids are constantly changing. This is where our guidance counselors really come into play. And this is where we as a system have options. So there are a number of courses that are open level courses so that kids can get into an open level course. Of course, they constantly change. So every year we look at that. It's grade 11 that they start to really declare a pathway. So 9 and 10, with our elementary component, they've done a lot of exploration. Then they continue to plan. And so by grade 11, where they declare a pathway, be it university, college, or apprenticeship, then it becomes more focused. So there is that time to go forward. The beautiful thing is that the ministry has also given us funding that's been enveloped for guidance counselors to be brought into the trade and to really do some experiential learning themselves so that they know how to better counsel students into that trade. And so we had 40 guidance counselors who went to the Boilermakers just last week, and they were doing welding and they were doing a number of other experiential learning so that this way their approach to understanding that is a better way for them to counsel kids into it when they're going into it. This is a third year that we've been really bringing guidance counselors into a variety of trades to build that capacity in our schools.
Thank you. Thank you, Trustee Saunders. Any trustees have further questions? Trustee Vasu.
Thank you, through Mr. Chair. Superintendent, sort of wonderful presentation. Well, I wish I was around when I was at school 5 or 6 years ago. It's too bad it wasn't there. But I guess for our children, I don't want to speak for our children, but now they have all different kinds of avenues. It's not just two ways. And what if a round peg doesn't fit in a square hole? This is amazing. And I'm sure it's going to expand even more because looking at the outside, the working world, we need these kids to get into different the world is changing as we know it in a business facility. So I wonder if that's helping their stress levels. I'm not a mental health professional, but when they're stressed out going, I don't want either one pathway, you're giving them all kinds of different opportunities to try it out versus say, no, I don't really want to be an engineer. I'd rather weld, that kind of thing. So I think that's amazing. Amazing.
Thank you, Vice Chair Vanchanada. The trustees have questions, comments? None. Thank you, Superintendent Delsoro, for presenting our student success. And some of our trustees have been part of the events. So thank you for inviting trustees. They have seen firsthand the great work done. So thank you so much for the presentation.
Thank you, Rosie.
Thank you.
With that, we shall move on to item number 5, delegations. There was one declined delegations for this evening's meeting, and trustees were informed about the reasons for decline. Our next order of business is consent agenda items. Item 6, The following items have been agreed upon in the agenda approval to stay on the consent agenda. There's one action item, which is the minutes of March 24th, 2026 regular board meeting, and item number 6.2 are noted items. We shall not be discussing the noted items, but we shall be taking one vote on the action item 6.1.1. I will now read the motion. Resolved that the Halton Catholic District School Board approve consent agenda item 6.1 as submitted at the April 21st, 2026 regular board meeting. I'm looking for a mover, please.
I can move it, Mr. Chair.
Trustee Agnew moves, looking for a seconder. Trustee Kelly seconds it. There will be no discussion. I will take it to a recorded vote. Vice Chair Ohan Chanana.
In favor?
Trustee Kelly.
In favor.
Trustee Saunders. Favor. Trustee Murphy.
In favor.
Trustee Hannah.
In favor.
Trustee Carabella.
In favor.
Trustee Kennedy.
In favor.
Trustee Agnew.
In favor.
We have 7 in favor, none opposed, no abstention. Motion carries. Consent agenda is approved. We shall now move on to our next order of business is item number 9, action item. Appointment of representatives to the OCSDA Board of Directors. So we have this action item today, which is the appointment of representatives to the OCSDA Board of Directors, Region 13 for a 2-year term, May 2026 to April 2028, 1 representative for our region. This was presented as a miscellaneous item in the last board meeting. It's now an action item. For the past 4 years, Trustee Vice Chair Othon Chanara has served as a representative. 2 years and 2 years before that, 4 years.
Oh, I know.
And served on our Board of Trustees as our director, and I want to thank you immensely for your tireless work in keeping us updated at every single board meeting with updates from OCSDA. So thank you. With that, I shall now pass the gavel to Director Klein to conduct an election. And we will follow the procedural bylaws 3.6.2. Director Klein.
Thank you, Chair. Before we proceed with the process to appoint a Region 13 representative to the Oxta Board of Directors, I will read the role of the Regional Director for all of your benefit. The role of the Regional Director is to know and understand the issues currently under discussion at Oxta, the position of Oxta on these issues, and the position of boards within Region 13 on these issues. To know the full range of services that are available from Oxta for trustees and administrators, and encourage the maximum use of Oxta services. Engage and participate in meetings and association events. Seek input and views from their respective regions and bring forward issues to the Board of Directors. Help to build member board commitment to Oxta through liaison activities and information sharing with other trustees and member boards. Keep boards and trustees in their regions aware of Oxta issues and initiatives, sharing available reports and position papers as appropriate. Enhance communication between and among the boards they represent and Oxta by providing on a regular basis to boards in their regions a report on Oxta Board of Directors meetings, encouraging boards to respond to Oxta issues and discussion papers, ensure that Oxta is kept informed of important issues, events, and needs of boards in their region, and respect and protect the confidentiality of matters discussed at the Oxta board. Should a vote by ballot become necessary, Superintendent Lofts will act as the scrutineer while I tabulate the ballots. Trustees present at the meeting by electronic means and who choose to vote may at that time votes being cast his or her vote by means of a private telephone conversation or by email with the scrutineer, superintendent of law office, who shall make the vote on a paper ballot in the same form and manner as though the ballots have been marked in person by the voter. And the ballot shall then be included with the other ballots to be counted. The ballots cast electronically in this matter are subject to the same obligations of confidentiality on the part of the scrutineer as those cast by voters physically at the meeting. A nomination motion for the position of Region 13 rep to the Office of Board of Directors must be duly moved and seconded. I will now ask for nominations to come forward. So I'm looking for a nomination. There's anybody online again? Yeah. Trustee Murphy. Oh, sorry, Trustee Murphy.
I nominate Trustee O'Hearn Chernata.
Okay. So Trustee Murphy has moved at Janet O'Hearn Chernata being nominated. Seconder.
Yes, since my hand is up first, I would like to second
The guy with the trigger.
We gotta get a camera on that.
that. Age before beauty.
Jace.
Yes, I would
Trustee-
like to second that.
Trustee Agnew seconds that. Good thing we don't have a strike zone then. Right. Does Trustee O'Hearn Chernata accept the nomination for the position of Region 13 representative to the Office of Board of Directors?
Yes, I will. Thank you.
Are there any other nominations? Any other nominations? And third time, any nominations? So Trustee O'Hearn Chernata, since there's no other nominations, would be appointed as Region 13 representative to the Office of Board of Directors for a 2-year term, May 2026 to April 2028. We had the nomination for this of Janet O'Hearn Chernata by Trustee Murphy. It was seconded by Trustee Agnew. All in favor that Trustee O'Hearn Chernata be appointed for the position of Region 13 representative to the Office of Board of Directors for the 2-year term, May 2026 to April 2028. All in favor?
Favor.
Favor. Final motion will read as follows. Be it resolved that the Halton Catholic District School Board appoint Trustee Janet O'Hearn Chernata as the Region 13 representative to the Office of Board of Directors for the 2-year term, May 2026 to April 2028. And for that resolution, I need a mover. Trustee Agnew is first in this one. She's moving this. We need someone to second it. Trustee Murphy has seconded it. And we will. All in favor? Against? Motion carries. Trustee O'Hearn Chernata, would you like to say any words?
Not much, just thank you, everybody. It's been a pleasure for the last 2 terms to be the director of OPSET, and I'm sure it's going to be very interesting over the next little while as well. So I'm sure there'll be a lot more information coming your way as soon as I get it. So thank you very much. I'll do my best.
Thank you. Thank you, Vice Chair, for all the great work done in the past. And congratulations on being once again unanimously elected. Look forward to bringing information to the board. Thank you for that. With that, shall now move on to our next action item, 9.2. Establishment of a finance budget standing committee at the HCDS. This item was shared at the last board meeting as a notice of motion and is now an action item. I'll pass this to Trustee Saunders. Can you please read the motion?
Be it resolved that the Board of Trustees,
Could we start with the whereas or with the complete motion?
whereas many Ontario boards have similar financial budget committees. Whereas the Ontario Catholic School Trustees Association, OXTA senior leadership recommended that the Halton Catholic District School Board, HCDSB, establish such a committee. Whereas the Finance Budget Committee will enhance the budget process by establishing a consistent dialogue on issues of importance. Be resolved that the Board of Trustees of the Halton Catholic District School Board establish a standing committee focused on financial and budgetary matters to be known as the Finance Committee in accordance with the board bylaws and composed of at least 3 trustees.
Thank you, Trustee Saunders. This item is in order. I'll place it on the table. You moved it. I'm looking for a seconder, please. Looking for a seconder. Trustee Kennedy seconds it. The motion is in order. I'll place it on the table. We are going to follow bylaw 10.4. You have 5 minutes to start an open discussion. Okay, thank you. That's now.
The question is, why does the school board need a finance committee? A school board is responsible for overseeing the governance and operations of the school district. This includes setting policies, hiring and evaluating the director, ensuring that student education needs are met. Among its most important responsibilities is the stewardship of public funds. School boards manage complex budgets and involve multiple revenue sources and a wide range of expenditures. Ensuring that these resources are allocated effectively, transparently, and sustainably require focused attention. Finance committee, composed of a smaller group of board members, provides that focus by overseeing financial planning, monitoring performance, and advising the board on fiscal matters. So what are the important aspects? So budgeting, planning, and oversight. While the full board approves the annual budget, reviewing every financial detail can be impractical. A finance committee serves as a first level of scrutiny, examining proposed budgets, revenue projections, and expenditures to ensure alignment with educational priorities. This review helps prevent misallocation of funds, supports strategic innovations, and promotes efficient use of resources to maximize student outcomes. The committee can also identify cost-saving opportunities, such as consolidating services, renegotiating contracts, or leveraging external funding sources. Another important aspect is accountability and transparency. School districts are funded primarily through public sources, including property tax, provincial allocation, and grants. Maintaining public trust requires clear, responsible financial management. A finance committee strengthens accountability by regularly reviewing financial statements, monitoring expenditures, and ensuring compliance with applicable regulations and board policies. This oversight reduces the risk of mismanagement, protects the district from financial or legal consequences, and reinforces confidence among shareholders. Another aspect is long-term financial planning. Educational needs and financial conditions change over time. School districts must plan for long-term obligations such as pensions, facility renewals, technology investments, fluctuations in student enrollment. Finance committee supports long-term sustainability by analyzing multi-year projections, monitoring trends, and anticipating changes in revenue and demand. Proactive planning enables the board to make informed decisions in advance, avoiding reactive measures that could disrupt programs and services. Another aspect is access to specialized expertise. School board members bring diverse perspectives, but not all have financial expertise. A financial committee leverages members with knowledge in areas such as budgeting, accounting, and financial management. The expertise is critical for reviewing contracts, evaluating funding options for capital projects, managing reserves and investments, and assessing financial risk. The committee translates complex financial information into clear, practical recommendations for the full board. Risk management is an important aspect. School districts face a range of financial risks, including funding fluctuations and unexpected expenses. Finance committee identifies potential risks and recommends strategies to mitigate them. This may include maintaining appropriate reserve levels, prioritizing spending, and planning for contingencies. Effective risk management helps ensure financial stability and continuity of educational services. Policy development and review. Strong financial governance depends on clear policies and procedures. Finance committee plays a key role in developing and reviewing policy related to procurement, budgeting, reserves, investment, and audit practices. These policies establish consistent standards and promote accountability, transparency, and sound financial management across the board. Number 7, supporting the board and the director. The Finance Committee acts as a bridge between the board and director who is responsible for day-to-day operations. By reviewing financial proposals and providing informed feedback, the committee ensures the plans are realistic, efficient, and aligned with board strategic priorities. This structure allows the board to maintain effective oversight without becoming involved in operational details. Finally, strengthening community trust. The well-functioning Finance Committee enhances public confidence by demonstrating that financial decisions are made carefully and responsibly. Transparent oversight reassures taxpayers that their contributions are being used effectively and supports student learning. It also helps communicate financial priorities and challenges clearly, fostering greater understanding, engagement in the community. So in conclusion, the Finance Committee is an essential component of effective school board governance. It enhances financial oversight, supports long-term planning, manages risk, and ensures accountability and transparency. Without a dedicated Finance Committee, school boards may face challenges in maintaining rigorous financial oversight and informed decision-making. With one, they gain a focused and knowledgeable body that may help safeguard public resources and support the delivery of high-quality education, both now and into the future. That's it.
Thank you, Trustee Saunders. Stayed within our time. With this, I shall now open up question time. So it's going to be 3 minutes for each trustee to ask questions, and then we'll move into debate time. Okay. So trustees, please raise your hand in the chat if you have questions for Trustee Saunders, or you have questions to be asked. I see no hands up. Trustee Kennedy, I see you're trying to raise your hand. Are you? Trustee Kennedy, you have 3 minutes. Your time starts now.
Yeah, thank you through you, Mr. Chair. Just wondering if you have any thoughts on how often the committee might meet, whether the ad hoc committee again stuff or.
Trustee Saunders.
Yeah, I guess we'd have to do a consultation with the Director of Finance, but I think it would be good to have it meet at least monthly, maybe bi-monthly, to sort of go over issues of concern. So I think it's a committee that has to be, have the finger on the pulse of what's going on and not sort of, come to it once or twice a year. I think it needs to be something that is an active committee that is monthly, something like CPIC or CIAC, where we have these meetings, we have an agenda, and we discuss, current issues that are important, or planning, future planning, or anticipating needs coming forward.
Trustee Kennedy, the committee would be a standing committee. It's subject to our bylaws. Bylaws specify those committees, how they're created and formed. So that's how it will go. The next question.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, if the committee is approved, would it be the chair who chooses members of the committee?
Follow the same process as we on committee. And again, that's a working committee. It's a working committee. As per our bylaws, the Director of Education will set up the committee, and Director of Education will ask for what trustee volunteers on the committee. Okay, so there will be a call, if at all. So we follow our bylaws. That's what I'm trying to get. So next question.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. Do we know not naming, but do we know that other boards have such a committee?
Yeah, we do. I done some
questions will always go through me. Okay.
All right, Mr. Chair, through you. Yeah, I'm aware that there are many boards that have these committees. Sorry, I lost my list, but there were a dozen boards that have similar committees, 8 to 12. I think York had them. Some of the other boards, Toronto may have had them as well. I apologize. They did have a list of the schools, but I know that they are quite prevalent, and I know that the Oxford Executive Director had made reference that there were several of these committees in existence.
Trustee Kennedy.
Just lastly, through you, Mr. Chair, did the Executive Director recommend we have a committee?
Yes, as I recall, we had through you, Mr. Chair, we had his presentation, and that was one of his recommendations, that this would be a good idea to establish one of these committees in our city.
So again, Trustee Kennedy, let me clarify that recommendation was made in a PD session to trustees. Again, it's not a recommendation from our staff. Just to clarify, so everybody clearly understands and it's being misquoted. Okay, Trustee Kennedy, further questions?
Just made through Mr. Chair. So it was a personal recommendation, not an Oxford recommendation. Okay.
Trustee Murphy, your hand up, your 3 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, through you to Trustee Saunders. Given the proposed or the tabled legislation that's coming up and the changing to the roles of the Director of Education, breaking that into more of a CFO role, and really the intention, I don't want to put words into the mouth, God forbid I put the words into the mouth of a politician, that the intent really is to have trustees take more of a observational role and less of the perceived hands-on or nose in, fingers out role. How do you feel that your proposal is in alignment with these changes?
Well, I think right now this is absolutely, I think, the right time to do it, because you've got the province that's demanding financial governance. You've got, the minister developing new roles. We've got him taking some boards. So I think, the Halton Catholic District School Board, we already have a balanced budget, which I think puts us in a very strong position. But also having a finance committee, I think would even demonstrate leadership in financial affairs, to the province. And we would probably become one of the leaders in financial governance. So I think it's very topical. I think we'd be able to work with the CEO on this. I think it would be a valuable asset. And I think it's just a demonstration of where our board is in terms of finance. I think we've already got a great reputation. This will even make it stronger. And we're pushing it forward when other boards are just sort of being managed. We're moving forward.
Thank you, Trustee Murphy.
So to clarify, you feel that trustees being more involved into the budgeting process, and I guess we need to clarify what the intent is. So let's do a hypothetical. The trustees have a position, they disagree with our financial team. We, as far as I'm aware, maybe you can correct me, Mr. Chair, we don't have the legislative power to override that decision, right? Correct?
Thank you, Trustee. Trustee Murphy. So this is the proposal right now by the ministry to make changes. It's only a proposal, it's not law right now. That's why I said this motion is in order. So basically, budgets are working budgets, and their budgets just done in consultation with all the staff, principals, school level, and everybody. So it's a very complex process. So to answer your questions, trustees have never been involved with the nitty-gritty of budgets, but trustees have had the ability to, provide input and vote on the budget.
So can I rephrase my question? What legislative authority do trustees currently have to make budgetary decisions?
Presently, trustees vote on a budget. They have to vote on a budget. That's what.
So they have no legislative authority to impact the budget decisions. Is that correct? Not that I want to lead you, but
the very fact that trustees vote on a budget gives them the ability to impact it. But that's
only from approving it and not approving it, not changing it, not impacting line decisions.
There's no.
I think that's a key distinguishing factor.
There's no definition of how deep the trustees should get involved, but best practices have prevailed in the past. And trustees, it's in the high level, the trustees have got involved. And
so potentially we're creating a committee who doesn't have legislative authority to make decisions, but in practice would need to make decisions. Otherwise they're redundant. There's no point in having them. Is that not a conflict? Isn't that setting up for challenges?
Well, that's the motion brought forth by the trustee. I cannot be commenting on.
You're so learned and experienced. I appreciate you.
I cannot comment on the merit of the motion, and that's why we are discussing this.
Okay. So yeah, thank you very much.
Saunders, 1 second. So would you like a response to your question, Trustee Murphy? Because it's on my motion, Trustee Saunders.
So through you to Trustee Saunders.
Yes, thank you very much. Yeah, so I think you sort of missed the point of what the committee is an advisory committee to the new CEO or whatever structure we have in place. So yeah, the committee's not making decisions, forcing anything. They're that second sober look at things, making recommendations, working with the board, certainly not taking over the board. So yeah, I don't think that's what this anticipates. This is an advisory group of people with experience to work with the director, to work with the superintendent of finance as sort of a sober second look, as another set of eyes, bringing forward options, but certainly not making legislation. So I don't think that's what this anticipates.
Thank you. Mr. Murphy, your time is up.
How's that possible?
You have long questions. Any other trustee has questions? Thank you, Trustee Murphy. Thank you, Trustee Kennedy, for your questions. I see no other hands up, so I'm going to open up debate time. Trustee, we have 3 minutes to debate on this motion. The motion was moved by Trustee Saunders, second by Trustee Kennedy. Trustee Vice Chair Chalana, your hand is up.
Yes, it is. Thank you. I tried to get to question period, but I'll try to debate it at the same time. Raise it for you, Mr. Chair. So the motion, I think, in its inception, because I was at the training when it was discussed, I'm just concerned about the timing of this. I think Trustee Saunders and I may have an opposite opinion to this. I think what the government is telling, they want our hands out of the honeypot, not further in. So I'm wondering if it's prudent for us to wait and see what happens as the Bill 101 has feedback and has third reading, et cetera, and then bring it back to the board and see if it's still in our best interest. So I'm a little concerned about pulling the proverbial approval today. I think the timing is just a little complicated at this time, in my opinion.
Thank you, Vice Chair. Any other trustees that would like to participate in debate?
Do I respond or?
No, you don't need to respond. You will have time to close. Okay. Trustee Carabella.
Thank you, through Mr. Chair. I'm remembering in the past when I've also supported a previous motion in another term to have a finance committee. I'm in support of a committee, a finance budget committee. And I think it's interesting that we had the survey results today. And I feel that this sort of committee is something that can take those survey results from feedback, the voice of the parents, mostly parents, but teachers as well, mostly, and then some other ratepayers, what suggestions they have for our board. And some of them are financial suggestions or where to put our priorities. We can bring those suggestions sort of to this committee, see where the money's going, where we can follow up on those suggestions and sort of keep them before us. It's an opportunity to work closer in a collaborative way with the senior staff and to enhance the priorities or again, bring the voice of the parents and the ratepayers to the committee. Yeah, I think, this committee meeting on more of a regular basis then gives the time required to really go deeper and collaborate in this framework of a committee to give advice or to participate and to get details to answers to financial issues, to keep transparency, accountability, to trustees, and in turn to ratepayers. So I think it's a good time. I would be supporting. Thank you.
Up next, Trustee Murphy.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Respectfully, I think the intent is great and oversight's critical. I think this is my second or third time in my trustee life addressing this. I think that the nature of budgeting in school boards is very, very prescribed. It's highly complex. And the reality is based on the demands of enrollment and some other critical factors, you really can't move the needle we have interim budgets. They're well designed, well presented. I think honestly, and again, respectfully, I don't want to sound like a jerk, but hey, the shoe fits. We would be muddying the waters by having a budget committee. And the reality is we would have very little crew impact. And I think it would detract from a very busy department as it is. I think we have, as I said, we have the interim budgets. We have opportunities to look, and there's enough level of detail. I think the trend is it's going against the trend and the expectation of the Minister of Education. So I respect Trustee Saunders, what he's trying to do and trying to increase oversight. But personally, I can't support it. I think it would just detract from our already busy staff.
Thank you. Trustee Murphy, any other trustees would like to debate? Trustee Kennedy, you have the floor.
2 minutes or 1 minute?
3 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So yeah, just to reiterate, I would be supporting the motion. You know, I wasn't here, but I did hear today and from others that Pat Deely, who's the executive director at OXA, did have a PD session at the board's request about trustee governance, and I heard he was surprised we didn't already have a finance committee, given other boards have. And personally, not through OXA, but personally recommended that we have one. I think this is a great time to do this. We have, as Trustee Carabello said, the survey that just came out today. We had over 1,600 responses with that survey. And, you know, one of the main questions is, where would additional investments have the greatest impact on students' evolving needs? We're asking these questions to parents and stakeholders and staff. What do we do with that information? I don't know if we do anything with the information. Maybe we'll find out today. So this is not a committee to tell staff what to do. It should be there to provide oversight and give suggestions on what we hear in our community, what we're seeing in the survey, and give stakeholders a further voice. They're our customers. We're here because of them. If they're not here, if they're not around, we don't have a job. So that's why I think this would be that committee. It also aligns pretty well, I think, with the proposed legislation. If I look at the 25-page document or so, they're saying that they want to strengthen budget oversight and accountability. And then on page 10, they mention strengthening accountability for school board finances and governance, including enhanced budget approval processes and reinforcing oversight of expenses, compliance with provincial budget expectations and operational decisions. So again, this committee can bring that to the forefront. We'll be, and I see nothing in here as you read this, the legislation here, that the ministry reference anything about existing finance committees or prohibiting the development of a future committee for a board that doesn't actually have one. So no reference on that in the large document. In addition, anything the finance committee recommends still has to be approved by the board. The committee doesn't get to make decisions; it just provides suggestions. So, you know, given all that, I think the establishment of a committee would align well with the news putting student achievement first act. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Kennedy. Any other trustees? Thank you. Seeing no other trustees, I'm going to pass this to Trustee Saunders to close. Trustee Saunders.
Thank you very much.
3 minutes.
3 minutes. Okay, so as you know, the process began with the recommendations by OXTA Executive Director Pat Deely as a person that the HCBSB should establish a finance committee. So I'm going to have to rely on his 35 years of experience as a pretty good indication that this is a good idea. You know, transparency, accountability, budget oversight, risk management, planning, engagement. So this is what the Board of Trustees is all about. And if you recall, even in this new sort of structure, we're still voting on a budget. So we need to be informed. So I'm saying, how can we vote against these guidelines? The committee will be our legacy long after we've all moved on. This will be in place to help guide HCBSB forward in its critical role. And there will be changes in how things move forward. So this is what we stand for. If we say no, what do we stand for? Are we telling constituents we don't believe in transparency? Even in these changing times, the committee demonstrates HCBSB's commitment to the principles the province is trying to instill in boards. Like, and this is what they're all about. I think this will make us stand out as a model of responsible, principle-driven organization focused on education and good governance. in the current myriad of board takeovers and changing rules to enforce governance, this committee, along with the balanced budget, is a visible demonstration. ACDSB is not only already in a strong place, but is pushing forward to enhance the principles and provide that the province is striving to achieve. Like, we're getting there. We will be the leaders. And in response to some of the other comments, we still vote on the budget. We still need to be informed. And, we've been through many of these budget meetings where the superintendent is, we've helped them with questions on details that we get some of them are not available. And we're kind of rushing through this process. And I think this committee will give us an opportunity to engage them on sort of a more sedate, timely basis to get in questions. And so we can't move forward. I can't believe the province is saying, well, we don't want you involved. You got to be blind. Just vote on the budget and have a nice day. I think we have an obligation to still be informed. We need to know what we're doing. We need to be transparent. So I have to disagree with my fellow trustees. I think given the province's movement, we need to be more informed, not less informed. And this gives us that operation. So, what day do we do this? I think this is the day we do it. This is, we don't look into the future. We say, we're going to move forward. And I think this is going to put us in a great position going forward. So that is the end of my comment. Thank you.
Trustee Saunders. With that, I shall close. We have closed question time. We have closed debate time. Done closing remarks. And with that, I shall call the vote on the motion. Could we have the motion up, please? This motion was moved. Okay, scroll up, please. Thank you. This motion was moved by Trustee Saunders, seconded by Trustee Kennedy. I shall now call the vote on this item. Trustee Kelly, how do you vote? Opposed. Trustee Saunders?
In favor.
Trustee Murphy?
Opposed.
Trustee Hannah?
In favor.
Trustee Carabella?
In favor.
Trustee Kennedy?
In favor. Sorry.
Trustee Agnew?
Opposed.
Vice Chair Vanchanada?
Opposed.
So we have 3 in favor, 4 opposed. The motion fails.
Point of order.
Can you state a point of order?
Yeah. Are you not obliged to vote?
Can you?
Who are you speaking with?
Can you?
That's right, Chair. Are you not obliged to vote?
Can you point out? Can you point out the section?
I don't have it with me, but the trustees requirements.
Right now, I choose not to vote. It's 3 and 4. It doesn't make a difference. So trustees have spoken. That's it. So we move on to the next item.
Sorry, Trev, point of privilege. Was there 7 votes or 8 votes?
So there's 3 in favor. There's 4 opposed.
So did we miss one person? Because you don't have to vote. Did we miss somebody?
Trustee Powell's not here.
Oh, okay. Anyway.
Verified? Thank you. We shall now move on to our next, we do not have staff reports. Our next order of business is information items. 11.1, Director's Report, Director Klein. Please present your reports.
Thank you, Chair. All right. Good. It is almost that time of year. Days are getting longer and summer is approaching. So it's with great pride and excitement that we're able to notify our parents and our families, students, that summer school will be back this coming summer, beginning in July 6th through the 31st. So for those students, it's only half the summer, so they still have lots of opportunities for rest and relaxation through Thomas Merton Center for Continuing Ed. Students who are will be in grade 8 and through to 12. They have the ability to take courses online, so they can either earn some credits toward their their diploma, or upgrade, or reach ahead again in terms of some subject areas that they'd like to get ahead of. This is staffed as always by OCT, or Ontario Certified Teachers. Will be delivering that in an asynchronous format. that type of format does allow for flexibility and does meet the needs of students, some of whom might sleep in a little later than we would like them when they're adolescents, and some of whom can find the afternoon is a better time for themselves to do their learning, or any other time for that. We're looking forward to it. We've had great uptake over the last few years. We're looking forward to that this summer as well. First robotics, March 28th, I took part of the day and wandered up to the Physical Activity Center, University of Waterloo. And it is like to see FIRST robotics in action. I know the chair had been, I think, in Hamilton the week before. I don't know what to say. It's partly carnival, it's partly WWE or WWF. It is filled with joy, filled with excitement. Parents from, in this case, where I was sitting, were parents from Oakville that were up there to be with the Loyola Firehawks as they did amazingly well in Waterloo that day. They ended up triumphing over scores of other schools from across the province of Ontario, and they had a lot of fun. One of the things I really love about FIRST Robotics was two things. One is that it does absolutely complement the subject areas in secondary school that students are studying, will be studying. So obviously things like anything in STEM in terms of math and science and tech. But more than that, when you look at there's this robot, and then you realize there's like 30 students who are behind this thing. And that would go for all the other schools that we have here. And I'll get to that in a second. So it's not just, you have some that are there in terms of building it, programming it, doing all those things that you could see a pathway toward a career or some line of study. But you have students who are there in terms of promoting it, doing in terms of the fiscal responsibility that's involved with an endeavor like this. It's kind of like watching NASA, but many years when these students were younger, or these heroes were younger. And that's what I really liked. A diverse group of students, goal-oriented, and the parents were, I think hockey parents are over the top in terms of cheering on their students. These parents were wonderful. Volunteers from the school, from a wide array of subject areas, parents who were there to stand by them. And I was very proud of Loyola at that point, and also the other schools as well. The good news is that the provincial championships, which are in Niagara on May 4th and 5th, we have 4 high schools that are involved in that, which is amazing. And they are listed there. We are very grateful for the staff and for the students, obviously, and for those others who have supported them in myriad ways. We look forward to hearing good news from that as well. By the way, they never know any of their school names, but this is such a subculture. They will say things like, "Oh, I know you. You're like 9098, right? Yeah, we're 13405." So they don't even know the name of the school or where they come from. It's just the numbers. But it's like people who are fascinated with baseball stats or anything else. They know exactly who these other schools are, and they look at them with a camaraderie and respect, and which is really at the heart of great competition. We have found ourselves now into the 3rd week of the Easter season. Easter season is 50 days, leads to the wonderful Feast of Pentecost. And before that, we've had 40 days of Lent. So we've had many days of our key 2 key liturgical seasons. I just wanted to reinforce that students and staff from kindergarten through to grade 12 are continually doing work to help evangelize, help form our students as young or not so young Catholic youth and future citizens and future adults. From participation in liturgies, prayer, including rosary, reflection during Lent and Easter, school-led dramatizations. You can't go into a school that week of Holy Week, particularly during the Triduum. Often schools will time it, so you kind of go through that Thursday where you're celebrating the establishment of the Eucharist through Holy Thursday, and then entering into the Passion with Good Friday, even though they won't be there. And then now we have the great opportunity to celebrate all the promises of the resurrection. And it's no accident that Catholic Education Week is in the midst of that. Student service projects continue. Again, some examples of Crochet Club, birthday stewardship activities, and again, food drives as well. Catholic schools in this region and in this province are second to none in terms of trying to right inequalities through raising money to help those who are less fortunate. I had the honor of meeting our newest bishop, Bishop Joseph Dabrowski. He had invited head of our diocesan partnership, Lori Narr. We had partners from all the school boards that are in the diocese, as well as the president from St. Jerome's University, meet with him a couple of weeks ago, and just really to get to know him. Very early on, so my presentation was really partly about what Halton is, literally talking about, here we got Oakville here, we move here, and giving kind of the lowdown how many, because the previous bishop, having been here for so many years, he didn't need to talk about that. We can get into other items. He is a very experienced person, very articulate, and very, very bright. And his initial comments to us, I thought were very, very heartening. And I'd shared these with the trustees earlier, but I think it warrants some repetition. First of all, was his gratitude for what we do in Halton Catholic District School Board, and gratitude for the gift of Catholic education in the province of Ontario. He was quick to say that we walk together as educators and as trustees and as parents in this work, that we are working to safeguard the church's mission. And he asked about how can we support one another, how can we help one another? And that evangelization is at the heart of what we do. Talked about the fact that he's perfectly aware that there are many other jurisdictions, not only in Canada, but around the world, where we do not have this amazing opportunity, amazing gift. And he did say the future depends on how we work together, guided by the Holy Spirit. Okay, it's April, so we're already thinking about next year. That's okay. We are in that time of year where we begin to do that. As the years cycle through, you're probably aware that obviously dates fall on different days. This is an unusual one coming up in that Labor Day is as late as it could possibly be. So that because of the Education Act, school year has to begin here and end here. We've got this many days to squeeze in. It's a little bit of a Rubik's Cube or a little bit of a puzzle to solve. And so I just wanted to point out that this one, because the 7th, I think, is the Labor Day, we start really, really, really late, which means we go late. So if the kids are excited about that, they should know that we're going to be going very late into June of 2027. Professional activity days, we're going to have 2 of them before the school year starts, just to try and balance out our year. Most other boards are doing that, and it's because of the funky way the year works out. That's what we've decided to do. The themes for those days haven't been clearly articulated yet. That is something that the Ministry of Education identifies. I'm going to guess there's going to be ones that won't be a big surprise, probably ones that come up year over year in terms of special education or something about literacy or numeracy. But last year, that was a fairly late in the 9th inning kind of delivery to us in the late summer about what the themes would be for the school year. Regardless, we'll be ready. One of the things to anticipate for in the elementary schools, of course, is a brand new kindergarten program. Superintendent Kroll and his team have already begun to help teachers get their minds wrapped around that. It's an important program, and it's very different from the one that preceded it. I would imagine part of the prep for those days would be that as well, but it's already begun. And again, that's been communicated out to our parents so they can have a sense of what days their students won't be at school. And I think in terms of parents, to have school not open for your students because it's a PA day, having that at the basically the tail end of the summer is probably a little less fuss for them in the long run. Happy to take any questions you would have regarding any of these. I think I see.
Thank you, Director Klein, for presenting a report. Trustee Kennedy, you have a hand up?
And thank you, Mr. Chair. People not sure this is part of this process or any of the process at all. Are we able to ask questions about the correspondence letter, or is that not?
No.
It just sits there?
Stick to the report.
So later in the board meeting, the correspondence letter, is there questions on that or no?
Right. The correspondence is correspondence. We do not take questions on that. And it's in the consent agenda and it's passed.
So does someone respond to the parent?
That's a role of the Center of Education and staff is on.
We're required to respond.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
So that was your question, Trustee?
So the other question I have just is on summer school, just a question. So we actually have quite a big grade 10, just looking at the largest grade 10 course, the grade 12 is large too, selection. Just wondering, like, one particular case I noticed, a grade 10 business class. Student wasn't able to get into the class this semester for various reasons. And there's grade 11 business class, but there's no grade 10 summer school business class. So is there anything that student could do, or is this the final list of courses that we'll have? It's also not on the public summer school list either. What could a student do in that case if they're not able to get the grade 10 course and they really want to take grade 10 and handle them?
So the standard process would be go to the school, go to the guidance in school, then they would give them direction. But again, Director Klein.
Yeah, whereas I'm going to turn it to Superintendent Del Sordo for a moment, but I would expect not only the principal of the school, in this case, guidance would be a very important resource for that. Obviously, looking ahead, depending where they are, you might have to wait in terms of, rather than summer school, it might be something they would have to take first or second semester at the school they're at. And then obviously there's also e-learning and depending on the courses as well. Superintendent Del Sordo, I'm not sure if you have anything you want to add to that.
Thank you. Thank you, Trustee. One of the things we can do is with pathway planning, is that's where the guidance counselor does come in roles. So they can do grade 10 first semester and grade 11 second semester. So those are some opportunities that they can do as well. The other thing too is because there are a number of students outside of our board who can access learning in other boards, we may not offer it in summer school in this board, but another board might be able to offer it as well. So that's something else that the guidance council could look through and look at. One of the great things that I would always recommend is anything that comes with course choices, it's always the guidance counselor who is your first point of contact, because that's their role in helping students find the best avenue to get them what they need, particularly if they're going into business and that's something that they want to get into. That's the pathway planning part.
Lastly, for you, Mr. Chair, just any appetite do we think in the future to ever have summer school in person that we used to have?
Again, it's Director Klein.
Sure, I could start by saying in terms of what the future will hold, I mean, who knows? I do know that at the conclusion of that service, there is an opportunity for feedback, and Superintendent Del Sordo can correct me if I'm wrong, but I know that has been fairly consistent in terms of the feedback about what the students and their parents have been impressed with, and what that has been the opportunity to have something that's flexible and that is meets their very diverse needs from family to family and student to student. That will continue, I'd expect.
Superintendent Del Sordo.
Thank you, and through you, Chair. Yes, Director Klein, every summer at the end of the year, we have the questionnaire for both students and parents to give us feedback on how we can improve our programs. And then in September, we usually have a summer school update that presents that information as well. So it has been consistently high in terms of what they favor. We're always asking, so I know that this year we're asking to see how we can maybe support kids who want a face-to-face program with tech in grade 9 and get that elective. But the problem is very few, and by few, I mean less than 5, would choose it. And then that would be in all different municipalities. So it'd be even hard to bus them, and it becomes another barrier for it. So it is a program that most families, a high average of families, do want, but we're constantly asking for that feedback.
Thank you, Trustees Kennedy. Up next, Trustee Hannah, you have the floor.
Yes, thank you, and through you, Mr. Chair. So in regards to FIRST Robotics, I have to say it is a wonderful program. It's been great, especially for students trying to enter mechatronics and engineering. I have heard some complaints because it seems that recently the rules have changed and our teams are no longer allowed to go to FIRST Robotics World Championships. I know that one of the teams, Holy Trinity, actually qualified for World Championships this year, but it seems as though they're not being allowed to go, which is strange because just 2 years ago, they were allowed to enter into World Championships. And there's been a bit of unhappiness from both students and parents from this, especially since the World Championships have huge opportunities for scholarships and awards, job opportunities, and a lot more. So I know you might not know the reason for this off of the top of your head, and if so, I apologize. But are you aware as to why I don't know if policy is the right word, so I'll just say rules. Are you aware as to why these rules have changed?
First of all, thank you for the question. I'm really proud that our students have participated in these competitions over the years, have had great success. I'm really proud of this part of it. Now, the operational part of it, when the students go to international competitions, based on several factors, then those decisions are generally made by staff. And there's lots of considerations that go into it. I'm going to leave this to staff to make a decision. Director Klein,
sure. We'll start off. I'm going to I'll tip it over to Superintendent Kroll, but if you're noticing 2 years ago, things were different. I think 2 years ago, a lot of things were different in this world. And I'll tip it over to Superintendent Kroll.
Yeah, certainly through you, Mr. Chair. Thanks for the question. I guess what I would say is this: certainly the landscape has changed over the last couple of years. Most school boards have moved away from trips to the United States. We have been in conversation with all of the schools that have robotics teams. And some of the feedback we've heard from them is that they have concerns about safety and security of students traveling to the US. There are also concerns about some of our students potentially being detained or stopped at the border. So those are some of the considerations that we've had to sort of weigh with our schools as to what's best for all involved, staff and students that could potentially be making these trips. So we've been having ongoing conversations with schools about this.
Thank you. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, absolutely, it does. Thank you.
Thank you. Up next is Trustee Caravella. You have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I was going to just mention that the school starts now on a Tuesday. So this used to start on Wednesday for the 2 years, which actually I heard from parents they'd like to start on a Tuesday. So is that something going forward, or we are just, because it's already starting so late, that we're starting on a Tuesday?
Yeah, through you, Chair. I think the conversation, I know Superintendent Donalfo would have a greater sense of the depth of the conversation around this, but I think that is clearly what it is. We're already late. We want to start right away with regard to that. And it's in sync with other boards as well. Superintendent Donalfo, do you have any?
For you, Chair. Thank you, Director Klein. Trustee Caravella, this year, because we were able to do the PA days before Labor Day weekend, so we're doing it on the Wednesday and the Thursday before Labor Day weekend, then it lands well to us start on Tuesday. Having said that, we always have to have that professional development training that we have to do with staff that's health and safety rooted. That's really a responsibility as a board, as an employer, to do for our staff. So that's why sometimes that's a PA day first, and then this first day of school. So this year, if it works out, we get to have 2 PA days before Labor Day. We just have to see how the calendar goes. Sure.
Thank you. Trustee Caravella, follow.
Well, and just, I guess, to clarify as well, because the public board with busing and that, they also started the Wednesday in the past.
For you, Chair. Yes, our calendar for the start has lined up.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any further questions on the director's report? If not, thank you, Director Klein, for presenting your report. Thank you, trustees, for your questions. Shall now move on to item 11.2, budget estimates, survey results. Dr. Collingwood, could you please present your report?
Sure. Good evening, everyone, Mr. Chair.
The purpose of this report is to provide the Board of Trustees with a summary of the feedback that we received from our 26-27 budget consultation survey. So a bit about what we did. As we do every year, we administered a public consultation survey online from March 11th to 27th. The survey questions asked respondents to identify their top priority for budget investment areas across our 4 pillars, asked for thoughts on where budget investment should be focused for the upcoming school year and beyond, and asked what programs and services should be maintained or that were missing. In terms of who we heard from over 1,600 respondents. Most of these respondents were parents or guardians of HUDSB students. Most were not receiving special education supports, and they were roughly equally divided amongst the 4 municipalities, with the exception of Halton Hills, which had a slightly lower respondent rate. In terms of what we heard, the complete set of results is in your package, but I do want to note a few things about the report. First is that you'll notice that the results are presented overall, so the various figures throughout the appendix, but they're also broken down by role and whether special education supports were received, so the various tables throughout the appendix. This disaggregation provides a clear insight into the different perspectives across the system. All of the voices here are valued, so each group brings distinct and relevant experience. And this format is making it easier to see various patterns that are existing in the feedback. In your package is also a summary of the report, the results by pillar, which shows the following. Within achieving, overall, respondents prioritized 4 areas: core classroom resources, hands-on literacy, numeracy and literacy supports, and special education supports. When you look at the breakdown by role, you see that parents and students are prioritizing hands-on learning opportunities, while our staff are prioritizing special education supports, and school administrators are prioritizing literacy and numeracy supports. Those who are receiving special education supports place a high priority on special education supports. Within believing, overall, our respondents prioritize community and service engagement, and this was widely true almost across all of the roles and abilities. School administrators, however, were emphasizing the importance of faith formation program. Within belonging, overall, respondents were prioritizing extracurricular and experiential opportunities, and this is particularly the case for those who were parents or students. Staff and school administrators, though, placed greater emphasis on mental health and well-being supports, whereas students who said they were receiving special educational supports highlighted a broader range of needs. And finally, with respect to becoming, overall, the respondents were prioritizing arts, music, and extracurricular programs. This is particularly by families and students who are not receiving special education support, but both staff groups prioritized in-school programs and resources, while students were prioritizing school facilities and learning. The next set of questions on the survey asked about programs and services in terms of which ones should be maintained or which ones are missing. And just to note that after we reviewed both sets of comments, it became evident that respondents were really using the 2 questions in a similar way. So many of them used the second question to reinforce the importance of continued funding on the same area that they chose for the first question. And so that's why there's a large overlap in the themes. So the recurring themes in terms of what programs or services should be maintained, we have special education supports, mental health and well-being supports, core education supports and interventions, extracurricular activities, and finally, non-core subjects were to be maintained, whereas technology was seen as a gap and something that we should prioritize. So just to wrap up, the feedback has been shared and reviewed by the senior team and also by the business services team, and is presented tonight to the Board of Trustees as one of the many factors that will shape how funding is allocated. And this information is intended to provide additional context to support an accountable approach to resource allocation for the 26-27 budget. Zoe and I are both here. I'm happy to take any questions about the survey or the results. Thanks.
Thank you, Dr. Collymore. Trustees, if you have questions or comments for Dr. Collymore, please raise your hand. Thank you, Trustee Kennedy. I see your hand up. Please, Lord.
Yeah, thank you, through you, Mr. Chair. I'm just looking, so you mentioned this should inform the budget. Through you, Mr. Chair, mentioned that should inform the budget. So how will we use the information to make any maybe potential changes to the budget? Is there any, I know it's new, it's only been a month, but the budget's been 2 months.
Thank you, Trustee Kennedy. Thank you for the.
Sorry, do you have any ideas from what we've heard of any proposed changes we might make to the budget?
Thank you. So Dr. Collingwood has presented the report. Now I'm going to pass it to Superintendent Love to explain how that is monetized.
To you, Mr. Chair. I think it's a little early to see how we can address a lot of these items. A lot of these items, as Trustee Kennedy knows, we've discussed many times on this table, are items that we have not received an increase in. So we're trying to do the best with what we have. It was great news from the ministry offering $750 per student, or sorry, per teacher, which should help us with some of these items that were listed in this survey. Another item too that was in here was a lot of mention on textbooks and things like that. That was another big item to look at. But again, we're limited as to what we can spend on based on what we receive. Hoping though that once we get the GSNs or sort of the core education grants, we'll be able to get a better idea what our funding looks like for this year. But as you know, a lot of our expenses are already prescribed through collective agreements.
Thank you. Trustee Kennedy, follow.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So I noticed, as Dr. Palmer mentioned, for really we're looking at the next year. We're not looking 3 to 5 years out. It's the 2026, 2027. So the two main ones that stuck out to me of what stakeholders want us to spend money on is really core instruction, 14%, as well as special education. I'm not too versed in special education. I do know a lot of parents who receive special education pick that. You can see in the chart below, so that's fair enough. What is core instruction? Like, what is that? What are some things in there? Like I read some of the comments. I saw 7 about class sizes. I assume that's one of them. What are other things that core instruction, what does that involve?
Sure. To you, Mr. Chair. Things like textbooks, workbooks, printed instructional resources, which has been talked about before with paper and things like that, which hoping that the new funding that was received will help in those areas. Those are some of the things that I see as core instruction, basically core in school. That's what I took out of some of those from the raw data anyways, some of the items to look at for core instruction.
So materials, textbooks.
Well, that's what I took. Again, though, we must remember too that this represents the 25% or so doesn't represent 20% of our entire school, of all our clients in our system as well. That's not just in students in our schools, but it could be trustees included in this survey, as well as outside members are included in the survey that do not have kids in the system right now. So I think it's important to recognize that as well, that those percentages don't represent all our students or all our staff or all our parents, but the people that decided to respond to this survey.
Thank you. I'll come back to you. Trustee Carabello, thanks.
Okay, thank you. Through you, Mr. Chair. I was also jumped out at me. It's a lot to read with the textbooks, and I'm wondering if we could just speak about that a bit more, like the digital and the textbook and the expectations of parents. Some are sort of struggling to teach at home, like kids don't come home with things, or anyways, just what is that whole debate? Like, what's happening? Is it really just all going digital, or do we have textbooks, and what's the plan?
Thank you. I think Superintendent Kroll is shooting. Superintendent Kroll?
Yeah, certainly through Mr. Chair, and I'm certainly the other superintendents that probably can answer this question as well. The reality is that there aren't as many publishers publishing physical textbooks as there used to be when you and I went to school. Trustee Carabella, a lot. We were at a conference, a couple of us were at a conference last week where Nelson, which is one of the major publishers, is really advertising their online platform as the preferred way of curriculum delivery. So it's not that we are not willing to purchase textbooks, it's that there aren't textbooks that are available for a lot of the subjects. And the textbooks that are available, we certainly have reviewed to see if they're suitable for our students. I know that Superintendent Skripek spoke a couple of weeks ago about a pilot that he's been doing to support math. But the reality is that a lot of publishers are just not publishing the traditional textbook that we're used to. So although, I'm a parent of 2 kids in the system, and I would agree that there's not textbooks coming home like there used to be, but it's because there aren't textbooks anymore like there used to be.
Thank you. Trustee Carabella, second question.
Okay. Just about then, like the digital time during the day. There were a few comments, like, parents struggle so much to not have their kids on digital stuff at home and devices. And then they go to school and again, there's like digital things. So is there ever like a limit for the digital amount the teachers use each day or, per each class, 10 minutes of digital versus paper and blackboard or whiteboard? So thank you, if you could speak to that.
Thank you, Trustee Caravella. Things are moving that way, have moved with students.
Certainly, through you, Trustee Caravella, we're aware of that tension. In fact, we, along with public health, did a training session for educators this year around limiting screen time, especially for our younger students. Teachers have professional judgment to be able to choose the resources that they use, whether they're text or digital. And there's no policy or ministry direction that requires a certain amount of instructions done pen to paper or done digitally. But we certainly provide a variety of resources, both digital and or traditional text. But it really is up to the classroom teacher to make that decision based on the curriculum that they have to teach, as well as the makeup of the students within the classroom. But I think we're all aware of that tension as educators and as parents as well, making sure that we're not using one or the other to the extreme, if that makes sense.
Okay. Thank you, Trustee Caravella. I'll come back if you have questions. So I guess we can leave your hand up there. Up next is Trustee Agnew. You have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So just a comment and then a question. So I did want to make a comment, not a negative comment, but I want to make a comment in reference to the comments about, that happened to be the people who took the time to fill that out.
Yeah,
right.
I thought that out first.
Right. Well, because if I look at the findings for special education, my thought is that people are finding the time to fill that out because they need their feedback to be heard because they're feeling extremely frustrated. And so I think that's why they're taking the time. It's a mechanism for them to be able to share that in a formalized capacity. So I do think it's important that we do recognize that there could be reasons why people are filling these out more so than other groups may be filling them out. They may be quite satisfied and they don't feel the need to have to share that input. But second to that, because we have seen and it has been brought up already, but we have seen the predominance of that special education piece come up, and it's not just stakeholders, it's also coming from teachers, it's coming from BPs, it's coming from Ps, recognizing we have budget constraints as well. But this also goes in line with some of the other surveys that we've had about students with disabilities that don't feel safe, don't feel belonging, don't feel included. And so I think given all that and the two of them, I would be very interested to see what this does translate to, again, recognizing that we have budget constraints. But I think if we are looking at prioritizing different areas, I'll be curious to see how you are able to take some of this feedback and perhaps respond to that because it was so prevalent in that survey.
Thank you, Superintendent. Let's get started. Then I think.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Chair. To use the trustee. I'm glad you brought that up. I didn't mean it to, the way it sounded didn't sound the way I was meant to sound. I was more saying that it's representative, but you're correct. Yeah, with the people that took the effort to fill out our survey, and 1,600 is actually a good sample size.
That's what I was thinking.
Like, yeah, it's a really good sample size.
Yeah.
I guess my point was more just across our system, but your point is well taken, and we appreciate everyone that did fill out the survey. Great feedback. Like we said, we've been talking about some of the items here. I guess just speaking from a budgetary perspective, as we all know, we do spend more on our spec ed envelopes than what we're funded for. It'd be interesting, and it's hard to comment on a lot of the things without having the funding here.
Sure.
To know what's going to happen, whether there's going to be REPs or any changes to it, which could help that area as well. But we'll hand it over to Cassandra. But thank you for bringing that.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, absolutely.
Superintendent Jacob.
For you, Chair. Superintendent Locke took my commentary around, obviously it's a priority of the board. We continue to allocate funds outside of the envelope money that we receive to continue to support students with diverse learning needs. In some cases, we've had to be really creative, collaborate with a number of other departments to ensure that that level of support is continuing and in creative ways increased. So I am waiting with bated breath to see what the budget holds. And I can assure you that our board takes a very good look at the survey results and other sources of data as well to identify where the communities are need, where we can, make data informed decisions in terms of where those increases may occur. Some school communities, the populations are the same or decreasing, and then other populations have got a lot of influx, a lot of homes being built, prospective, projects on the horizon. So I do keep that in mind as staffing decisions on how we're going to respond to that growing. But waiting, very
As
patiently.
always, yeah, for sure.
For the money.
Yeah, follow up.
Yeah, sure.
Thank you so very much through you, Mr. Chair. The other, so just further to that, I guess the question that I would have would be then within the confines of that spec ed budget, would you be, again, further taking this information from the survey? Let's say the dominant feedback was more one-to-one support. Would you be taking a look to then shuffle around some things? So perhaps it might mean reducing perhaps spend in one area in order to increase a allotment. Like, is that something as well that would be considered when you're putting this together versus trying to just do it all, but prioritizing within the confines of the budget that you have?
Superintendent Chekmaldo.
For you, Chair, we definitely look at the ways that we can and identify what areas we want to prioritize as a board. I mean, I can say that I truly feel it's an honor to support the work of special education and student mental health, but it is a board commitment and it's a board's priority. So it lands under my portfolio, but there's so many intersections where are involved that we can share pockets of money if it allows us to move one project forward or one initiative forward, and then recognizing that if there's going to be an impact in another area unrelated to special education to make that happen. So very fortunate to have a team that's very dedicated to wanting to see the best possibilities out of our students. And
Thank you. Superintendent Love.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah, just one more.
Yeah.
On that, and Superintendent Del Sordo mentioned it with his presentation earlier as far as the synergies or the meetings with synergy sessions we're looking to have between a lot of the staff, superintendents at the board office to see if there are those synergies between spec ed, between curriculum, between math, between student success, as well as having ITs involved there for data-driven decision making.
Right.
So those are meetings that we are putting together, a large part coming from what we saw in the survey as well. So there's another way that we're trying to basically stretch what we have and address the needs of the system.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Trustee Agnew. Up next, Trustee Murphy, the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. A comment and kudos to Dr. Pollimore. Great survey. I think it's critical that we have an avenue where our parents and stakeholders can communicate back to us. My condolences to Superintendent Lofts having to try and manage that. The reality is, discretionary decisions on our budget is at 1%. It's not 5, it's not 8, it's minimal. So the people who really need this information aren't us in the room, it's the ministry who's making these decisions. Is there an avenue where they get a summary of this information? Is it ever brought to their attention? Do we have the means to do that?
Superintendent Love, so Director Klein.
Start. Sure, I could start. I know we've sent, through Mr. Chair to Trustee Murphy, we have through some of the organizations, COSBO, for example, which is all the superintendents of business across the province, has put together some of the shortfalls we have within our system, but there are more funding shortfalls and or challenges that we are facing right now, which indirectly would help with a lot of the items that are in this survey. Go ahead.
Yeah, sorry, through you, Chair, too. The code as well has advocated and clearly, not just with our board, but we'd say it, misery loves company. I mean, some of those struggles and challenges are shared by all boards in terms of that advocacy and pointing it out.
I think it's important for the ministry to understand that it's not us asking, it's our parents expecting us to advocate on their behalf. So we appreciate having the data. It would be nice if it made its way up the chain in some method. Maybe you can look into that, Mr. Chair. You're good at that. Thank you.
Take a look at them, see how it goes. Up next, trustee Vice Chair of Chanara.
Thank you to you, Mr. Chair. I'm not sure to the Director of Education or Dr. Collingmark. So all of our stakeholders have used their time to answer this survey. Remind me, how do we close that loop to say, hey, we heard you and this is what we're doing based upon that survey? Do we have that sort of closure? I don't know who
I do not.
Culver or Director.
I won't put you on the spot, but if you'd like to add something, Director Klein.
Through you, Mr. Chair, just to echo some of the things that have been said already tonight, given the results have just been shared with the senior leaders, the superintendents, those conversations are still happening internally. And so I would imagine that those plans will be shared when they are available.
Amazing. Thank you very much.
Director Klein, you would like to?
Yeah, really, the final response to that is a budget that would be before you by the end of June. That would be our roadmap for moving ahead. And then within that, hopefully people will be able to see that the common desires, common concerns would be reflected in as much as we can with whatever we're given, whenever we get that given to us, hopefully in the next short term, not late in the year.
Just to show, if I was a parent or anyone, a stakeholder filling this out, how do I connect the dots that actually I wasn't doing the survey in a vacuum, that someone there was listening to me? That's kind of what I'm getting at.
Okay. Thank you, Vice Chair. We shall now move on to Trustee Carabella. You're not spoken. Sorry, you've spoken before. Trustee Kennedy, I'll come back to you and then come. Trustee Kennedy, you have the floor.
Sorry, Carabella or?
Okay.
Yeah, so just a question. I agree with a lot of what Trustee Egan and Trustee Renata just said. So they're the ones that voted their voice, they took a lot of time. We want their voice heard. So I'm looking at the numbers for the next year. So core education and special education are the two big ones that they want us to prioritize. So priority, put it to people of the things if we can. So we're not getting more funding. Right. We don't know yet. But I'm looking at the funding. This is last year or the year before 24. And like special education is kind of low, but we're getting. I see your challenge because they're giving us $16,000 for special education subsidy. Like it's really small for certain REPs, and the transition navigators. Like we don't get a lot of extra REP for that. So is there any ability while we're not getting? Sorry, if we don't get funding, we don't get extra funding for specific things. I think it was maybe mentioned, or is there ability given with the survey? So the survey is saying core education, special ed, maybe not as much on human rights and equity and staff training and development, right? Is there any ability to say, this is what the customers are saying, maybe we can shift some of that money for what the priorities are for the stakeholders if we don't get the funding?
Through you, Mr. Chair, that's something that we'll take back to the senior table. Trustee Kennedy, it's something that though there's a lot of definitely good work that's happening within our board in a lot of those areas that were mentioned, that you just mentioned. With respect to the spec ed envelope, a lot of boards have that same issue. So with respect to, if you're looking at the REP, you actually do get funding though within the budget as well.
Yeah.
So we do have some additional, quite a bit actually additional funding in there, but we still are at a shortfall. You're correct. It's every year we see the needs in spec ed, and I feel it too. It's a soft spot as well for the needs of our system and our most vulnerable students. But we can only kind of work with what we have to work with. Say that, but we definitely do look like we said the core ed 1-2 was something I spoke about before. I'm hoping that some of that funding, we get more information on the additional funding that's been allocated by the district that we know of right now. It's the additional money for the teachers as well. So that hopefully should help and then maybe open up money in other areas of our budget.
Thank you. Trustee Kennedy.
So given we can only work with what we have, if we have any REPs that we're given, like for instance, professional development, I know we're given, let's see, educating staff to support reading interventions, $1 million or so, right? If we add up all the stuff we're given for staff development and human rights and equity, those are the two low ones. So some of the two low ones, and we're spending more on those areas than we're given, right? We may be, I'm not sure if we are, but if we're spending more than what we're given, and the stakeholder is saying we want you to spend or less focus on that and focus more on special ed and core education, that's what I'm learning. If you'd be willing to redirect some of that if we're spending more than we're actually given for those items?
I think it's, sorry, to you, Mr. Chair, to Trustee Kennedy, I think it's more of we take the feedback and we try to work with what we've been given in our feedback. The REPs, it's pretty prescribed, right? It's very prescribed. We have individual contracts for all those REPs. So in those contracts, there is a element of PD. We need to spend PD. I know for early reading intervention, that's a very big initiative that the ministry had to help our earliest readers make sure that there's any shortcomings in their development to try to address those. And part of that is through training to know how to have our teachers and our educators trained to understand and recognize where those shortcomings are and how to address those shortcomings. So that involves PD. And REP was given for that. But again, we do have to take what's been given and take the feedback because, as we said, 1,600 is a very good respondent rate. But it's also we represent all our students, right? Not just a certain percentage of them. So we have to make sure that we understand we represent all our students and we're doing the best what we have available to us to service all our students in the best way that we can.
Thank you. I'll go to Trustee Carabella.
Yeah. Okay, thank you, Mr. Chair. So one of the items, it's, there's many pages that things sort of pop out at you. So there's the one on page 83 about various fees that they were upset about, or just saying that there was a high school basketball fee and volleyball fee, $90, $120, plus the $65 activity fee. So my question is, with regards to fees for activities and that, because I don't know, I'm just bringing their voice to the table here and saying, is there a way to lower those fees, or what happens if they couldn't pay those fees? Would that child not have an opportunity? Like how are we balancing that?
Yeah, I can start in principle. So there's a few layers to that. But in terms of I think one of the final questions you had, in the case of one person who we're struggling, can't afford that, or it's going to be a struggle. This is one of 5 kids, and there really, I think, is an understanding here that you would probably go to the principal and talk to that person first. Really, I think it's incumbent upon the principal and the school community to respond with some form of graciousness and an outpouring of support for that. And there are, I think, avenues. I've been a principal so that you can accommodate. Part of it would be what you can do in the school itself. Part of it, sometimes the HCCF has been utilized before at this board and there's other avenues for that as well. But if it is something where a parent is saying, "Oh, this is a particular concern of mine," then I can't think of anyone who would not respond in a compassionate way. Superintendent Cole?
Yeah, I think through you, Mr. Chair, I think it's actually in our policy. I believe it's actually written in our policy that students will not be denied an opportunity to participate in activities based on not ability to not pay. So as former school principal, as many are here, we certainly work hard to make sure the community members are aware of that. It's a fine balance, like to be able to say that, we offer clubs and sports and teams and opportunities for students. But we as a board don't have the ability to cover the cost of all of those things for some of our students, if that makes sense. But we would never deny a student an opportunity to participate in something for financial reasons.
Okay, that's good. No, thank you. I think that's good. It's in our policy, and that more people know about it. They come forward and they need it, because other responses in this survey were how important the extracurricular and the school sports and how many opportunities children have and how they thrive. So it's super important. So thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Carabella. The trustees for your questions. I see no other hands up. So Dr. Colliver, I want to thank you for your staff colleagues for all the wonderful work that you do. It's a lot of work to put this together. And then it's so easy now to summarize all these things into one big document. But anyway, thank you for that. We shall now move on to 11.3, as usual, construction report. Superintendent Murray, please present your report.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Through you, we have the construction report for April. You can see in the photos, we have action now at the Georgetown West site. sorry, I'm showing the second one, I guess, but the, you see the footings and the foundations going in. And some of them are coming out of the ground now, which is great to see. Just as the weather is warming up a little bit and hopefully drying the center a little bit. Good afternoon at Georgetown West, and things are moving along well there. Milton 11, we have equipment arriving on site now, and they're anticipating to start in the middle of next week, putting in the siphon. Just wrapping up permitting on the adding the rest of the fill to the site, and then on a building permit. So the siphon gives us a couple months of work doing site services there, so that'll get us moving. And again, good weather happening there, which is great to see, and we'll continue on with construction through the summer and into the next year. So happy to any questions the trustees have on number 11 and Georgetown West.
Thank you, Superintendent Merrick. Trustees, any questions on questions? Good. So thank you, Superintendent Merrick, for your report. We always look forward to this, and yeah, so we look forward to the next building report where there's some serious thing happening, construction happening there. So thank you for that. We now move on to item number 12, 12.1 student trustee update. We have only student trustee Hannah present today. Student trustee Hannah, the floor is yours.
Hello. Yep. I guess I will try to present everything. It'll take as long as possible as usual, so expect to be out of here sometime at 12. Now, today I'm pleased to share a report on, I suppose I'll just start with achieving. The Student Senate has remained committed to fostering strong and successful school communities. So this month, 2 key social media initiatives have been developed to support students. The Student Achievement and Leadership Subcommittee will be launching a study tips campaign aimed at helping students prepare effectively for exams, especially during what can oftentimes be a stressful time. Alongside this, the Environmental Stewardship Subcommittee will be running a World Environment Week Instagram campaign, and I'll just move on. So in regards to believing, our efforts have focused on advancing the Funding Future proposal. Promotion has continued through a student-led video and the distribution of campaign bags across the schools to increase awareness and engagement. If you guys don't remember, it is a huge fundraiser going on all around our board. Additionally, schools recognized Easter this month as part of our broader commitment to celebrating the diverse cultural and religious identities within our community. Now, in terms of belonging, our initiatives continue to build on what was already there. So the first Culture Night is set to take place at Assumption on May 7th. So that should create a big opportunity to bring students together. Our mental health team is also preparing several initiatives in cooperation with board mental health representatives, and following last month's video release, they will participate in Mental Health Champions, where they will help organize workshops, collaborate with students across the board, and represent the Student Senate. In addition, the Special Education Committee has launched the Neurological Disorder Awareness Campaign, which is more social media posts, and together, these efforts all, aim to create a more inclusive and informed and supportive environment for all students. So under Becoming, the Student Senate continues to demonstrate growth, leadership, and creativity. Our social media team has recently launched a campaign and video advertisement to encourage students to apply for next year's Senate. At the same time, our incoming student trustees, who you all have seen now, have begun to take on more active roles, which is nice, both in terms of it means that we do slightly less work, and it also means that they get experience, so win-win. In May, both incoming and outgoing trustees will attend the OXTA annual general meeting, or OXTA AGM. OXTA standing for Ontario Student Trustee Association, and they will collaborate with peers across the province to discuss and develop policy improvements. I think that's about it. So yeah, I'm happy to answer any questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Hannah. Trustees, any questions, comments for Trustee Hannah?
Thank you.
Saying none, thank you for presenting your report as usual. It's appreciated. With that, we shall now move on to 12.2 OCSTA update. Vice Chair Kunchana, do you have a report to present?
Just a very quick verbal one. So thank you through you, Mr. Chair. Just really, at this time, it's about Bill 101, Bill 101, and Bill 101. Some of the components of Bill 101, centralized control, school board CEOs, trustee changes, communication curriculum, academic changes, and bargaining changes. So I really ask our trustees who can make themselves available to really come to the AGM next weekend. There will be time during AGM where obviously we'll have a question and answer and a presentation to all of us there about what they may know between now and then, because there's still a lot of things up in the air. But if anyone hadn't registered and wants to register, please see me or send me an email and I'll help you get you registered for next weekend. Those that have registered, we do have 2 resolutions that'll be discussed at the AGM and probably passed and moved on to another committee. Really, that's all that we're talking about right now is Bill 101 and Bill 101.
Thank you. Thank you, Vice Chair Kunchana. Trustees, any questions for Vice Chair? Seeing none. Thank you for presenting your report, Vice Chair. We shall now move on to item number 14, open question period. Director Klein, have you received any questions for the open session?
Chair, no, we don't.
Thank you. Item 15, in camera, we do not have to go into in-camera session. Resolutions regarding absentees. I have Trustee Powell was indicated couldn't attend today. Student trustee is Persuram and Aditya have indicated that they could not attend today. So motion to excuse Trustee Powell, Trustee Aditya, and Trustee Persuram. May I have a mover, please?
I'll move it.
Move it by Vice Chair O'Connor, seconded by Trustee Kelly. All in favor? Anybody opposed? Saying none, motion carries. Trustees are excused. We move on to item number 17, adjournment and closing prayer. May I have a motion to adjourn, please?
I'll move it, Mr. Chair.
Trustee Saunders has moved and Trustee Agnew seconds. All in favor? Anybody opposed? Saying none, motion carries. Trustee Agnew, could you please lead us in the closing prayer?
Sure. Thank you. If you'll all join me in the sign of our faith in the Father and the Son and the Holy Spirit. Heavenly Father, as we conclude this meeting, we come before you with hearts full of gratitude for the opportunity to serve our school communities. Thank you for the wisdom, collaboration, and dedication shared here today. In this month of April, we celebrate the growth and renewal that spring brings, a reminder of your faithfulness and the promise of new beginnings. As we prepare to move into May, we ask for your continued guidance and strength. Bless our students, teachers, staff, and families as they continue their journey of learning, growth, and connection in the months ahead. Grant us clarity in our decisions, compassion in our actions, and unity in our mission to nurture and inspire the next generation. May we always seek to honor you in the work that we do and the lives that we touch. We entrust the days ahead into your hands, knowing that with you all things are possible. In your holy name, we pray. Father, Son, Holy Spirit.
Thank you, Trustee Agnew. Thank you for a great meeting. Thank you.